And now, please welcome to the stage with Google Cloud Security, TJ Aldrich, Kristen Cooper, and Alexa Raza.
Hi, everybody. My name's TJ, and over the next 20 minutes, my good friends Kristen and Alexa are going to we're going to walk you through a use case where a security analyst is going to proactively detect, investigate, and respond to a threat. So I'm going to pass it over to Kristen to get us started.
All right. All right, so we all have the desire to get out of a reactive mindset and into a proactive stance when it comes to threats at our organizations. And Google Cloud Security brings a host of capabilities to the table to help you do just that. But don't take my word for it. Let's take a quick look at what Google Cloud customer Pfizer has to say about it.
We were a big target during COVID for obvious reasons. The number and variety and the volume of security attacks is just increasing. So we're always looking for new ways to stitch together all of the different security technology we have to be more preventative. And if something gets through, be able to react more decisively.
So that was a super quick clip of our friends at Pfizer, but you can see they have a very dedicated goal. They're working really hard to get into this proactive mindset. So how can you kind of follow that pattern as well? So in our presentation today, as TJ mentioned, we're going to show you how to do just that. We're going to explore a common use case, that's external exposure risk. And we're going to show you how Google Cloud Security can bring all these capabilities to the forefront for you guys to do that. All right, but let's set the stage first. So why is moving to a proactive stance so important? Well, when it comes to circumstances that allow for external exposures, sorry, we've got some interesting stats that highlight why you need to adopt this proactive stance. So we've got these great stats. They've been pulled from MTrends 2024. So if you haven't downloaded that report and taken a look at it, highly recommend on that. But I get a new clicker, it's exciting. So first up on their exploits, most common initial infection vector on this. So in intrusions where that initial intrusion vector was actually identified, 38% of the time it was exploits. So why does this happen? Because they're still pretty hard to detect. On that second up, 10 days global median dwell time. We all know dwell time's that time when the attacker's in your environment to the time where they're detected in there. There's that detection note again. So this is great because actually 10 days is a huge improvement over where we were even 5 years ago. If you think back even like a decade, this was in the hundreds. So we've come a very long way. However, there's still work to be done, right? 10 days is still a long time for somebody doing nefarious activity within your environment. So you want to be able to, again, detect that they're there and get them out of there fast. And last but certainly not least, 54% of organizations are still notified by a third-party entity like a law enforcement that, they've got a breach. Not ideal, obviously. Again, we're missing that detection element of this, of being able to do that ourselves. On that sort of kind of a fun factoid with that is in some cases, attackers are actually giving you the notification and may come in the form of like ransom notes. So kind of an interesting new twist on things with ransomware. So let's move into our use case on this. So first of all, it's really good to understand that Google Cloud Security offers detection coverage that covers a range of threats on not only Google Cloud, but other cloud providers, as well as on-prem. On that, we also have the ability to take into account a host of other information. So all that extra security telemetry, all the information and context that you need to make really good decisions is available to you. So that's stuff like privilege escalation or malicious or anomalous activity happening in your network, excessive user alert volume, endpoint, EDR alert prioritization, things like that. And also newly discovered threat actor methodology. So that comes from the Mandy and emerging threats. So all that really good work that the frontline folks are doing on the consulting side gets pulled in the form of custom detections in Google SecOps. So let me hand this off to Alexa next. She's going to start walking us through a little bit more detail on how this all works.
Thanks, Kristen. All right, so we're going to start out with the detect portion of our use case. So before I go into it, you can get acquainted with the screenshot behind me, but I want to set the stage by saying that the Google Cloud security perspective of external attack surface management data is that it is a contextual telemetry source best used by cyber threat intelligence teams or within the security operations workflow. So what we have here is a high severity case that was created from the Mandiant attack surface management integration. If you're not familiar, Mandiant acquired in that, or Google Cloud acquired in that tech in 2022. Mandiant attack surface management is going to perform external asset discovery. Specifically, we provided a small piece of information like an IP or a domain, and it performs asset enumeration. It also fingerprints the underlying technologies like applications and services, and then it's going to perform a level of active checks, where we're using benign payloads crafted by Mandiant or Google experts to validate whether or not your external asset is exposed and an exploitable entry point that a threat actor could use to gain initial access to your organization. So in this case, we're looking at the Jenkins arbitrary file 2024 CVE, and ASM has said, hey, based off of the CVSS score, it's a high severity case that you should pay attention to. Now, if I'm a security analyst, I want to know, is this really important for my organization? Do I really need to spend time on this right now? Or are there other high priority things I could be focusing on? So I need to understand and assess what the situation is for this specific IP address that was found vulnerable. You know, over on the right-hand side, I have a risk assessment that said, hey, this is critical based off of the CVSS. Well, I now have conflicting information here, and I want to know the source of truth. What should I pay attention to? And so we're going to take a look at the Mandiant Google Threat Intel enrichment. So this is a native capability within Google SecOps, where we're taking all of that frontline intelligence, we're enriching it with the data and the telemetry sources within SecOps, and it's going to tell us what is the Mandiant or Google perspective of this specific CVE. So this is where our analysts are actually sitting down. We're looking at, what is the exploitation state? Have we seen any of our incident response customers, our managed defense customers, fall victim to this exploit? Have we seen it, called out broadly in the industry? Was it exploited as a 0-day? But then our analysts are also going to look at what are the barriers to exploitation that a threat actor would have to overcome in order to successfully exploit it. And this is where, the Google perspective is really important. So we've given it a medium risk rating, and that is contradictory to that critical and high severity we saw on that other slide. So as a security analyst, I now have additional information to say, hey, based off of the activity that a threat actor would have to go to exploit this, I don't think it's a super high priority for me. So my next step is probably going to be to send it to that asset owner or whoever owns the Jenkins software for them to patch it and move on with it, and I can focus on something else. However, just to make sure I'm doing my due diligence, I want to take a deeper look at that IP address. And so I'm going to pull up the entity graph within Google Security Operations, and it's going to show me all of the different CVEs associated with this one IP address. So as a security analyst, I'm saying, hey, I think this is a medium risk rating. It's not really important. However, there are several different ways a threat actor could exploit this one asset to gain access to my organization. So I'm going to maybe put this at a higher priority than medium. And so my next step is I want to understand what else is going on with this specific CVE, what is going on with the others mentioned. So I want to pivot into Google Threat Intelligence to better understand what the situation is. And so TJ is going to walk us through that.
Yeah. So with Google Threat Intelligence, what we've done is we've taken the crowdsourced threat intelligence from VirusTotal, the frontline threat intelligence from Mandiant, and kind of wrap that around with Google visibility. And what we can do here with the Google Threat Intelligence is at the top, we can put in the CVE we want to look up. And what that's going to provide us is a few different things. We're going to get a lot of information. One is we're going to get a quick overview or a quick update or a summary from Gemini, our AI. It's going to provide us just a really quick overview, a couple sentences on what exactly this CVE is, what this vulnerability looks like. We also get information on the threat actors that are using this, as well as vulnerability intelligence. You can see here we have the vulnerability intelligence, we have the CVE there, quick update or a quick overview of what it is. But we can also click into this and go further. So if we look at the vulnerability intelligence, we have a lot of information here. We have a good executive summary, we'll have some analysis, but we also have this chart at the top right. I want to draw your attention to that. Just as Alexa showed us earlier, it's a medium severity and confirmed exploit in the wild. That's great. If it's exploited in the wild, how come it's medium? What's driving this? Ask a couple questions about why exactly it's medium and not high. Since we've seen it being exploited in the wild. If we look at the analysis, we can look a little bit further and find out the reason that's driving this is a couple of points. One is the permissions of the attacker, the encoding used in the target, as well as the specific configurations of the target. Leveraging ASM, we have an understanding that, yes, this one does impact us. It may not impact everybody, but this one will have an impact on what we're doing. And now if we want to dig a little bit deeper, we can go across the top and look and say, okay, what exactly can we do? What more information can we get? We can look at the details which we're seeing right now, the vulnerable products that are at risk here, as well as the vendor fix details. So how are the vendors suggesting that we make these updates and patch the vulnerability? We can look at the exploits, run the exploit code in our environment, get a better understanding there. We can also look at some other sources, the open source threat intelligence is out there, as well as what does Mandiant have to say about this in those reports. So to further the investigation path, I'm going to turn it over to Kristen, who's going to talk a little bit more about how to investigate further.
All right, so as we move into investigation, you've got a lot of tools at your fingertips. There's a lot you can do here. So you can do things like work threats, not alerts. What do we mean by that? We group related alerts into a single case. And that gives you the opportunity to prioritize, assign, escalate all this all through case management. You can see the complete picture on that, so you get to the bottom of all the issues that you're having there, and you do that quicker with the right context. So again, all the context that both Alexa and TJ have been talking about that come through attack surface management, that comes through the intel, starts to surface here in the case management portion of Google SecOps. On that, you can automatically enrich, stitch all the telemetry together, but also do that simultaneously while surfacing important insights that you need to pay attention to. You find the right answers quickly. Again, this is a big deal with the search capabilities within the product itself. You can filter, aggregate, customize how you want to do that search. And of course, streamline investigations. On that, we make it easy to drill down on entities so that you can get additional context, seamlessly pivot between alerts, cases, and playbooks all in one place. So let's take a closer look. So we've got our case wall. You've seen this already so far in the presentation on it, but what I want to call your attention to, again, with the concept and the idea that we're pulling all the context together to you in one spot so you have everything that you need without having to pivot out of the product into different things. So again, we have taken all this stuff from attack surface management, breach analytics, threat intel, and we're surfacing it all here in different modules in different ways. In the case that we're looking here, you can see all the information that you need. So we've got your associated alerts, we've got events, any playbooks that you may have already created that are associated with this particular case. You can drill down into any of these areas from our context. So anything that has a clickable link, you can drill down into that. We've got modules below that you customize in terms of the type of information that's important to you and your organization. And so you can click into that to pull up reports. You can pull into that, drill down into the entities and see what the heck is going on. And again, all that information, particularly in this case, all the threat intel that TJ just talked about, gets pulled into SecOps as part of the case. So as just one example is that we can leverage AI in this. So on the case wall itself, within that, you've got a module that just brings in this intelligence into it. And what it does is summarize what we know about this, right? So why maybe you need to pay attention to this particular thing going on within your environment, what actually happened, and then even some next step recommendations that you might consider taking next. So you also have the ability in the case management to use the investigative assistant. That's another AI component to this. It's on the right side of the screen on that. And it's a chat that you can ask it anything about the case. So it could be as simple as like, tell me more about this CVE file. On it, it will go through, it'll search everything that we know, it'll pull up information for you, additional information that you can drill down into on that, but it'll give you a really good context again as to what's going on that. You can even do stuff like generate a detection rule from here. And again, pulling back into the attack surface management and the things that Alexa referenced earlier, we are able to provide even deeper context. So this gives you the ability to drill in and get things like asset information to assist in your investigation. So moving into the response portion of the show, how can you take action? It's simple, it's playbooks on that. You can create those from scratch. In our example today, we're gonna utilize AI to show you how you can do that with a prompt on that. But before we get there, let's talk about some examples of what you can do in terms of response. One is automate common scenarios. So those day-to-day challenges like phishing, ransomware. We've got ready to run use cases that come with the playbook, simulated alerts, other tutorials that will help you get started out of the box. You can build repeatable automated security processes. So those are things like orchestrating all of your security tools in order to perform a particular action on that. So pulling in your entire environment and taking that into account. You can also automate repetitive tasks that are taking up a lot of time on your team on it, which would free up time for people to spend it on more strategic initiatives for the organization. You can analyze and optimize your existing playbooks. That's a really important piece that I think a lot of people forget on that, but you can maintain, optimize, iterate on existing playbooks, make sure they're up to snuff, and you do that with lifecycle management. And so that includes stuff like run analytics, reusable playbook modules, version control, rollback, all that good stuff. And of course, last but certainly not least, you can generate those playbooks with Gemini on that, and I will pass this back to Alexa, and she's gonna show you how it's done.
Thanks, Kristen. So I want to work smarter, not harder. I want to use AI to create the initial playbook for my next step action off of this vulnerable IP address. So I've asked Gemini, hey, write me a playbook that's going to notify this specific asset owner of the IP address when a critical priority case is generated from Mandiant Attack Surface Management. Now you can tailor this to say, medium to low severity. You can customize it and say, hey, I also want to notify a different team. And you can also pull in other telemetry sources to really enrich your playbook. But Gemini has taken this prompt and it's created the foundation of a playbook for me. So instead of having to create this from scratch or build it myself with Python, I can plug and play different capabilities within the playbook, like including identity information. This is a pretty linear use case here, but there's a lot you can do with it. You can potentially ask the asset owner to remove it from the attack surface, removing the ability for a threat actor to exploit it. You can kick it off to the incident response team for them to take additional action on it if you think it's necessary. There's a lot of customization you can do here, but the point is you can automate a lot of this process for yourself and save time. Now to recap everything we've gone through. We went through a real world use case of the detect function, investigate, and response. We've shown you that you can use external attack surface management directly within your security operations workflow. And this can be applied to any telemetry source, whether that's identity, your digital risk from the deep and dark web, and so on. And so I'm gonna hand it off to TJ to wrap it up for us, and he's gonna give you some next steps.
All right, thank you all. We really appreciate you guys sitting through this today. On behalf of Alexa and Kristen, we say thank you very much. Quickly close us out. You can't leave a presentation without having some action items. So a couple action items for you. If you want to learn more about attack surface management, Google Threat Intelligence, or Google SecOps, the booth right behind you is our booth, and you can sit and talk to any one of those folks there. If you get a demo, you can get a little token and win some prizes on that. Secondly, if you don't want to talk to people and you just want to read online, we recommend that you go to Google Cloud or cloud.google.com/security, learn more about that. We also encourage you to join our community. I'm not going to read that URL because that's a long one. You can take a picture of that one if you want. Also, if you get those little golden coins doing the demo, join the community. You win prizes there as well. You get a beanie with a cloud logo on it. Last thing, really cool. It's already taking place now, but tomorrow, 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. There's a capture the flag just on the other side of these booths right here that you can go and sit through, do a capture the flag, compete with your peers It's all really around Google Threat Intelligence. And in that, you can win some great prizes as well. There's prizes for each one of the sessions. So thank you very much. Have a great day.